No, you've got it all wrong, Daniel. He was threatening me this whole time. I was too scared to tell anyone until now. It's the truth, I swear. When I suspected my wife Ashley of cheating after finding some scandalous lingerie, I never imagined the truth would be this twisted, but I couldn't let this slide. I decided I'd make Ashley and her affair partner, Brian, pay. They were both going to face consequences they wouldn't forget. My name is Daniel. I've been married to Ashley for 4 years, and we live together, just the two of us. My family owns a company, and I'm the second generation in line. It's a pretty big, well-known company. And honestly, I've never had to worry about money. But don't get me wrong, I'm not some spoiled second-generation kid who got everything handed to him. My father, Joshua, built this company up himself. He came from almost nothing, having grown up in serious poverty. He understands both the value of money and the harsh side of human nature. So, since I was little, I've been taught, sometimes quite forcefully, to stay humble, respect others, appreciate money, and never stop learning. I started working part-time jobs back in high school, and when I got to college, I saved up my own money to study abroad. After that, I did internships, worked at other companies to gain experience, and only then joined my father's company. I've always had this determination to prove I wasn't just some heir living off the family's reputation, so I try to stay ambitious and grounded. As for how I met Ashley, it was actually through an introduction. Her father's company was one of our business partners, and that's how we got set up to meet. To be honest, I'd always kind of assumed I'd meet my spouse through some arranged introduction, so I didn't mind it at all. Before I knew it, we were married. I think Ashley's family has a comfortable lifestyle too, but apparently, people still see her as marrying into wealth. So after we got married, Ashley became a housewife, and sometimes we have a housekeeper come by, which gives her plenty of time to enjoy her own interests. I'm so lucky to have married you, Daniel, she'd often say with a smile. She's a gentle and kind woman. Maybe a bit on the timid side. One thing I really appreciated was that she wasn't obsessed with money in any way. Our married life was going well, except for one thing: we hadn't been able to have children yet, and it was starting to weigh on us. I didn't get pregnant again. My period just started. Oh, I see. Maybe it's time to look into seeing a doctor. Yay, that might be a good idea. After 2 years of trying, we finally decided to go to a fertility clinic and get checked out. The results: no issues. We were both perfectly healthy. Well, it's a relief to know there's nothing wrong with us, but it's still frustrating not knowing the cause. Yeah, why can't we figure this out? But maybe there's no need to rush. Why don't we just wait and see? Good idea. Maybe we should take a break from focusing on having kids and go on a little trip. We decided to ease up on the baby planning and just enjoy life. Days passed peacefully, without the pressure of thinking about children. One day, as I was searching for something in the house, I couldn't find it anywhere. I checked the living room and my home office, but came up empty-handed, so I started searching the bedroom. Having no idea where it was, I ended up looking through every drawer. Then, unintentionally, I opened a drawer where Ashley kept her underwear. While I was used to seeing her regular lingerie, I felt guilty opening it without her permission, even if it was accidental. I was about to close the drawer when something felt off. Inside were several pieces of very flashy, brightly colored underwear. Ashley normally doesn't wear anything this bold, right? I thought, picking up one of the pieces. They were all very skimpy and revealing. Some were sheer, some were thongs, just very provocative pieces overall. I'd never seen Ashley wear anything like this before. I was shocked, but more than that, I had questions. Why did she even have these? The more I thought about it, the more my mind drifted toward a disturbing suspicion. Could she be cheating on me? At that moment, I quietly closed the drawer, but the thought of the underwear stayed in my head. Eventually, I hired a private investigator to look into it. Some might say hiring a PI over finding flashy underwear is a bit much, but I trusted my gut. With no concrete evidence of anything, I requested a month-long investigation, just to see what might turn up. After a month, I met the investigator at a hotel lounge to hear the report. To get straight to the point, Ashley is cheating. The man she's seeing is named Brian, a single guy who used to date her back in college. I see. They started seeing each other about a year ago. They're living quite lavishly, so I suggest keeping an eye on financial transactions. Are you saying Ashley is supporting him financially or giving him money? It appears that way. Brian has no stable job and seems to go from one gig to the next, often quitting soon after. He's also known to have a gambling habit, so his spending is excessive. Recently, he's been spending large sums of money, likely sourced from Ashley and others. This is the worst-case scenario. She let herself be sweet-talked by her ex and ended up giving him money. And to a guy as low as him. I'm afraid that's not all. Ashley has been visiting a gynecologist and is on birth control. She's likely using it to prevent pregnancy. What, Ashley? Are you sure about that? Yes, I have all the evidence here. In short, she's having an affair with a terrible ex-boyfriend, giving him money, and taking birth control to avoid having children with you. No wonder there's no medical reason for infertility. She's on the pill. Thank you for the thorough investigation. After parting ways with the investigator, I went back to my office and locked myself inside. I combed through every line of the report and stared at the photos and documents. Brian and Ashley had dated back in college, and he had apparently made her cry countless times. But despite all that, Ashley, in her naivete, had been completely infatuated with him, giving him money whenever he asked. Her parents noticed the toxic relationship and intervened, forcing her to break it off. However, at a college reunion held last year, they met again, rekindling their relationship, and it became an affair. I had always supported Ashley's wishes and made sure to spend quality time with her. So why did she cheat? Why did she betray me? A mix of anger, sadness, shock, and disappointment flooded over me. To think she had been cheating for an entire year, and I hadn't noticed a thing. I was devastated not just by her betrayal, but by my own blindness. I thought I'd been through enough experiences to be able to read people, but clearly, I was wrong. What I couldn't forgive, above all else, was that Ashley had been taking birth control to prevent having kids with me. It's one thing if we just couldn't conceive. Sometimes money can't solve everything. But to think that the reason we couldn't have children was because she was cheating on me and taking the pill at her lover's suggestion, it left me boiling inside with no place to direct my anger. That feeling only grew stronger until I found myself resolved to deliver some serious consequences. So I decided to confide in my best friend, Kent. Kent, like me, is the second-generation leader of a large company. Our fathers are close, so Kent and I have been like brothers since we were kids. Hey, Daniel. What's up? You doing all right? Yay, I'm okay. How about you, Kent? Still busy? Are you free to talk right now? I'm good. Right now? Yay, I'm just wrapping up work and heading out. Wanna grab some dinner? My wife and kids are staying with their family tonight, so it's just me at home. Sure, let's go. There's a lot I need to talk about. It's rare for you to want advice from me. So where should we meet up? I reserved a private room at a restaurant we frequent and met up with Kent. Once we ordered food and toasted, I told Kent everything that had happened. Is this for real, Ashley? And she's still seeing him? Daniel, you seem pretty calm about it. Are you okay? Honestly, I'm more angry than sad or shocked. I think that's why I'm able to think clearly. We've had countless conversations about having kids and our future. I was genuinely concerned, you know. Yeah, I know. You always wanted children. I think you should sue Ashley for damages and file for divorce. Maybe even sever ties with her family and make Brian pay for the money he spent. But doesn't that feel too easy? Like, all I'd be doing is walking away from a cheating spouse. There's no guarantee I'll get back the money he took, and it doesn't feel like proper justice. Good point. By the way, isn't her dad's company going through a rough patch? If your company stops supporting them, they might be in big trouble. Yeah, things aren't great on their end. We've been helping them out financially. I owe them a lot, though, and I don't want to ruin the relationship. In that case, you could try telling her parents about everything and isolating Ashley. She'd be left out in the cold. Can you imagine marrying into a great family only to cheat with some worthless ex from college? Announcing the truth and demanding repayment might make her parents cut ties, too. That could work. Her parents are very concerned about appearances, so it might not be too hard to steer things that way. Perfect. And as for Brian, he's probably going to disappear as soon as he catches wind of this. He doesn't have a job or anything to lose, so giving him a real punishment could be tricky. Exactly. He has weak ties with family, so there's a good chance he'll just vanish and be done with it. But that means he doesn't suffer any real consequences. It's not satisfying. I want him to face some punishment. I mean, a guy like that probably has debt from other places, too. Ashley might even be a co-signer or something. That would be a nightmare. But the report did mention he has some debt. They didn't specify where it's from. If it's true, Ashley would end up divorced, abandoned by her family, ditched by Brian, and saddled with debt. It'd be game over for her. Exactly. Here's an idea for how to make this hurt even more. Kent and I spent the rest of the evening brainstorming the best way to make them regret everything. Talking with Kent helped ease my frustration, and I realized that Ashley's affair didn't mean my life was over. There's something to be said for having a good friend by your side. In the end, we concluded that the best course of action was to confront them with the truth and catch them in the act. That evening, I went home as usual. Kent was worried about me facing Ashley, but I felt the need to see for myself how she had changed or had not over the years. I'm home. Welcome back. You're home later than usual. Dinner meeting? No, just had dinner with Kent. What about you, Ashley? Did you go out today? Just a quick shopping trip. Are you hungry? Or do you want to shower first? I'm tired, so I'll just go to bed. By the way, you mentioned going out for dinner with a friend last week. What was her name again? Last week? Who did I go with again? Oh, I totally forgot. Maybe it was Nicole, like usual. But why ask all of a sudden? Oh, nothing, just curious. You're acting weird. All right, I'm going to bed. Good night. Good night. I changed into pajamas in the bedroom and got into bed. The dinner I mentioned from last week was the night Ashley had met Brian. According to the report, they had a set pattern, a routine that included meeting at a particular place at specific times. I was surprised I hadn't noticed before, but I couldn't forget that smile she gave me when she casually deflected my question. She had lied so naturally, as if forgetting was the truth. She thought I didn't know anything. It dawned on me that Ashley might be a much more calculating person than I ever realized. Maybe I just never noticed, but she could lie to me without hesitation. She lied so effortlessly, in a way that was almost second nature. By now, she probably didn't feel any guilt at all. The next day, I wasted no time explaining the situation to my own family and to Ashley's parents. Of course, I was extremely careful to ensure that Ashley didn't catch on to my actions. My family's reaction was straightforward. "So, Daniel, what do you want to do?" my father asked without pressing for details. Seeing my parents look so sad was hard to bear. After sharing my plans, they offered support, saying, "Do what you think is best, Daniel, but don't overdo it. Maybe take a little rest." I reassured them that I'd focus on resolving this. The real challenge lay with my father-in-law, Walter, and mother-in-law, Stephanie. After apologizing for the sudden visit, I asked them to listen without contacting Ashley. They must have sensed something serious because they showed me into the living room with tense expressions. Once I'd explained everything and shared my plan, they both apologized deeply. "Daniel, we're so terribly sorry. Our foolish daughter, how could she do this? I am truly sorry, so sorry." Stephanie apologized through tears. It was an uncomfortable moment for me. "Please don't apologize. This isn't your fault. She's an adult. But I can't forgive her for what she's done. I never want to be involved with her again. Once I receive compensation and recover the money she spent, I want nothing to do with her. However, this may mean we need to reconsider our business arrangement. I don't want any of my money to end up in her hands, directly or indirectly. I'm truly sorry to bring this up after all your kindness. Daniel, that's a fair stance. Thank you for telling us. Ashley used to be such a kind, good-hearted girl. I don't know what to say. We're so sorry. Still, we have no right to ask this, but would you reconsider ending the business? Our company is just now recovering, and our longtime employees and younger staff are working hard together. Losing your company's support right now would be devastating. This is entirely Ashley's fault. We warned her repeatedly in college that this man would ruin her, so we'll sever all ties with her. Please, could you reconsider the business partnership, Walter? Walter, you don't have to make a decision like that right now. Let's take some time. Just so you know, she and Brian plan to meet again next week, as usual. I intend to confront them on that day and serve her with divorce papers. You're welcome to join me if you want to see the truth for yourselves. I'm not pressuring you. I'm sorry to put you in this position. Thank you, we appreciate it. I'll talk it over with my wife and consider it." Seeing their grief was painful. But at this point, what could I do? If they indeed decided to cut ties with Ashley, I'd consider keeping the business deal. I knew it wasn't easy to sever ties with one's own child. The week leading up to the confrontation passed quickly. Strangely enough, I felt nothing toward Ashley anymore. Spending time with her didn't bother me at all, almost as if I'd exhausted all my anger. On the day of our plan, I got ready as usual and left the house. "All right, I'm off. See you later. I'm going to lunch with Nicole today, but I'll be back by evening." "Got it. Are you sure?" About what?" "Oh, nothing. See you." I met up with Kent near the hotel where Ashley and Brian always met, settling into a nearby cafe. Kent had taken the day off to be there for me. "Thanks for being here, really." "Of course, man. Though I gotta admit, this feels tense. Yay, it's hard to know what to expect." "Hang on, I'm getting a call." "Hello, Walter?" "Yes, I'm here, at the cafe we mentioned." "All right, see you soon." "Ashley's father." "Yes, he's coming. He said he wants to see the truth for himself." though Ashley's mom is staying behind. I see. After a short wait, Walter joined us, and we headed over to the hotel where Ashley and Brian were meeting. The investigator had already confirmed they were in the hotel room together. When we arrived, the investigator knocked on the door, speaking in a practiced tone. Room service. What? I didn't order anything. I apologize for the inconvenience, but could you please confirm just in case? An irritated voice replied from inside, and the door opened. In a swift move, the investigator entered the room. Moving further inside, the three of us followed closely behind. Hey, who the hell are you people? Is this some kind of joke? What's going on? Wait, Daniel, Dad? No, this can't be. No, it's not what you think. Please, listen to me. Who are these people, Ashley? If they're here for you, I'm leaving. I don't want any part of this. No, Brian, you're staying right here. You'll both be taking responsibility for this. And Ashley, you'll be held accountable as well. I know you've been giving this man money. Given the situation, there's no escaping this now. It's pretty obvious you both just got out of the shower. No, Daniel. He's been blackmailing me. I was scared, so I couldn't tell anyone. Please believe me, Daniel. Dad? He forced me into this. Just stop. I know everything already. The investigator has plenty of evidence, including photos of the two of you together. Lying is pointless now. Honestly, I'm amazed at how easily you can lie, Ashley. No, really. He was threatening me. That's why I couldn't tell anyone, and why I had to give him money. What are you talking about, Ashley? And who are these people? You told me you were single, with no boyfriend. You lied to me. What are you saying? Don't try to weasel your way out of this. You knew I was married from the start. You're the one who came after me. That's a lie. You told me you couldn't forget me, and you're the one who came on to me. Are you serious? Stop lying. Excuse me, the liar here is you, Ashley. Enough. Are you both really going to keep making excuses in this situation? Ashley, when Daniel showed me the evidence and told me everything, I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe that my daughter, Ashley, could do this. But now, seeing you here, with nothing but excuses, and no apology, this is unbelievable. This is all because you forced us to break up in college. This never would have happened if you hadn't interfered. It's your fault. Enough. Walter's hand landed sharply on Ashley's cheek with a loud smack. The heated exchange went silent in an instant. Ashley, I'm cutting you off. You're no longer my daughter. You're free to live however you want, even with this man. But I'm done with you. Daniel, I am truly, deeply sorry. Ashley, stop making excuses. Let's face it, you hid it for so long. But here you are again, in flashy underwear, with this guy. That's what you wanted, right? Well, rest assured, I'm filing for divorce. But let me tell you what's going to happen next. I'm suing both of you for damages, and for the money you've spent. You'll be thrown out without a dime. Do you really think this guy will stick around to help you? He's going to vanish as soon as this is over, out of reach. And then all the payments I would have charged him will fall on you. You'll be paying for both of you. Can you handle that? Are you even sure you're not a co-signer on his debts? If you are, this is the end for you. There's no escape. No, I'm sorry, truly sorry. It was a terrible mistake. I'm so sorry. No need to apologize anymore. After all, I wanted children, and yet you were taking birth control. Enough of treating me like a fool. I'm sorry. Ashley collapsed into tears. Everyone stood in silence, watching her, except for Brian, who was eyeing her coldly. Then, without warning, Brian bolted out of the room. Wait, what? Are you serious? Where are you going? Stop. Come back. All right, let's proceed. On my signal, the private investigator made a quick call. He just ran outside. Yes, understood. I'll keep you updated as soon as we have more information. Thank you. Shall we? Ashley, still in shock, was left standing there, frozen. Leaving her behind, the rest of us exited the room together. From then on, things unfolded exactly as we'd hoped. We let Brian run as far as he wanted, keeping him under close watch the entire time. The reason I'd taunted Ashley like that was because I had a feeling Brian would abandon her as soon as things got tough. Brian, the gambler, took a chance, believing he could escape on his own. As for Ashley, I immediately filed for divorce and pursued claims for damages and the money she'd spent through my attorney. She initially put up a strong fight, trying to reconcile, but her efforts soon faded. That was likely because Brian, as it turned out, was deeply indebted to some dangerous people. The moment they learned he had fled, they turned their attention to Ashley. With her parents having disowned her and no one left to turn to, Ashley quickly found herself working at a strip club to make ends meet. As for Brian, once he believed he had successfully disappeared, I made sure his debt collectors knew exactly where to find him. They tracked him down to his latest hideout, but after that, the private investigator lost track of him. Perhaps they have their own ways of dealing with people like Brian, by allowing him to run freely and intentionally directing the collectors toward Ashley, and then ensuring Brian faced his own consequences. Everything turned out just as Kent and I had envisioned. After that, I ended my contract with the investigator, finally bringing this ordeal to a close. I'm satisfied, knowing both Ashley and Brian were held accountable for their actions. As for me, though, my story didn't unfold like some movie with a beautiful new love interest or a quick remarriage. Instead, I threw myself into work, ultimately succeeding in launching a new business. Finally, I achieved my long-time goal of expanding overseas. For now, I'll be leaving this country behind, choosing to enjoy life abroad without worrying about relationships or love.
On the day of my wedding to the man I love. I can't express how long I've been waiting for this moment. But storms can hit without warning.
I'm sorry. I'm pregnant with his child.
Surrounded by well-wishers, I was ready to pledge eternal love. On this sacred day, my own sister hit me with the cruelest revelation. Even Dad, who I thought would be on my side, defended her.
Why did this happen? What have I ever done?
As I was drowning in despair, things took a turn I could have never anticipated. My name is Riley, 26 years old. I work at a foreign company, just an ordinary employee. My life has been pretty mundane until now. But even someone like me met my destiny 2 years ago. His name is Thomas, 28 years old. I met Thomas at a client's company, and we're currently engaged. We started dating when Thomas made the first move. After a year and a half, he recently proposed. Thomas isn't just great at his job, he's also well respected. I was so proud to have Thomas as my fiancé. Today, I brought Thomas home for a family meeting. Having not been home for a few months, Mom, Lily, greeted us warmly.
Riley, it's been a while. To think you'd come to announce your wedding, Mom was quite surprised.
Sorry about that. Work has been hectic.
It's okay. Alexander is waiting inside.
Thanks. Where's Mary?
She's here, in her room.
I see. Honestly, I don't want to see Mary. The truth is, I've never really liked her. Mary is my older sister. Even at 30, she doesn't work. Mary has always been beautiful, and she treated others very well. Maybe because of this, people always said she was adorable and such a good girl. As a result, she grew into an uncontrollable troublemaker. But the frustrating thing is, Mary's true nature only comes out around me. In front of our parents and relatives, she plays the role of the perfect little angel. My feelings toward Mary started to sour before I even entered elementary school. Even before that, as a child, I had my grievances with her, but one incident that stands out is my 5th birthday. On that day, my parents gave me the rabbit plushie I had wanted for so long. But right after, Mary burst into tears out of the blue.
Sniff, sob. I wanted that plushie too.
But Mary, didn't you say you didn't like bunnies?
I do like them. You copied me, Riley. It's so unfair. No, that's not true. I've always loved bunnies. Liar. Riley, do you hate Mary that much?
Mary sobbed uncontrollably, making the atmosphere tense. What made things even more complicated was that Dad, Alexander, doted on Mary excessively. Whenever Mary and I had a falling out, Dad always sided with Mary. Of course, this time was no different. Dad forcefully took the rabbit plushie I was holding and handed it to Mary.
Dad, that's the one I just got. Listen, Riley. You're the younger sister. Mary comes first, so give it to her. But I've wanted that bunny for so long. We can get you another one for your birthday next year. Just bear with it this year.
Fine. Mary, hiding behind Dad, smirked at me maliciously. I can't forget the look on her face from that moment. It was as if her eyes were telling me, that's what you get. A few days later, I found the plushie that Mary had taken, dirty and discarded, in the trash. Crying, I went to Dad, but he dismissed me, saying,
"You're the younger sister. Deal with it."
From then on, I gave up expecting anything from my family. After that, Mary would frequently torment me, and whenever we argued, I was always painted as the bad guy. Mom always stepped in to defend me, but Dad continued to shower Mary with affection regardless. Because of Dad's incessant spoiling, Mary never held down a job and still lived a carefree life at our parents' house. She would work part-time jobs briefly, only to quit soon after, and whenever she needed money, she'd beg Dad. Each time, without reprimanding her, he'd give her an allowance. Mom grew tired of Dad's behavior and stopped intervening. Because of our past, I despised Mary and didn't want to see her. The mere thought of her causing another scene filled me with dread. Despite my anxiety, I headed to the living room with Thomas. But only Dad was sitting on the couch. Mom prepared some coffee, and the conversation shifted from casual chit-chat to talk of the wedding. As we discussed the wedding date, I heard footsteps coming down from the upstairs staircase. Oh no. Now? I'd prefer she not meet Thomas. But my fear quickly became a reality. Mary, wearing a revealing outfit, entered the living room. Feigning sweetness, she addressed me.
Oh my! Riley, long time no see.
Mary, we're discussing something important. Can you come back later?
What's going on? Am I being excluded from some secret conversation?
It's just about the wedding.
The wedding? So, the guy over there is your fiancé?
Mary approached Thomas, saying sweetly,
I'm Riley's sister.
With a warm smile. Thomas seemed somewhat charmed by her. Biting back my urge to shout, I stood up. In an attempt to suppress my anger, I left the living room and headed to the bathroom.
Why does it always have to be like this? Mary's always in my way. And Thomas better not be falling for her.
I took a few deep breaths to calm myself. Returning to the living room, I found Mary and Thomas deep in conversation, laughing together. Witnessing that scene, the anger I'd been suppressing surged instantly. I gathered my things and called out to Thomas.
Thomas, we're done here. Let's go home. Huh? Are we leaving already? What about the wedding plans? I'll contact Mom about it later. Can we just leave now?
All right. Alexander, Lily, Mary, it was nice seeing you all. As we tried to exit the living room, Mary ran up to Thomas.
Come back soon,
she said, flashing a big smile. It irritated me. I had told Thomas about Mary before. Yet seeing him so taken with her, I felt anger again. On the way home, I broached the topic with Thomas, trying to dispel my anger and anxiety.
Thomas, you remember what I told you about Mary, right?
Yeah, I do. But based on our chat today, she seems nice.
That's the thing. She's like that with everyone but me. Please, don't be so easily fooled.
Hey, I'm not easily swayed. The only one I love is you, Riley. I wouldn't fall for any temptations. I trust you. Yet, recalling Thomas's expression around Mary earlier, I still felt unease. I think we should avoid visiting my family home as much as possible after we're married. After that, we didn't discuss Mary and simply enjoyed our time together. Our wedding preparations were well underway, and I was too busy to dwell on anything else. Then, the big day arrived. My wedding dress, which I'd tried on many times and finally chosen. Makeup slightly bolder than usual, and a subtle tiara. The once-in-a-lifetime event. The day I'd long dreamed of came faster than I thought. Thomas looked tense. Of course, I felt the same nerves. But more than that, I was overwhelmed with joy that we were finally becoming husband and wife. After the ceremony, as a whirlwind of emotions engulfed me, we transitioned to the reception venue. After the groom finished his speech and the meal began. Suddenly, Mary, seated at the family table, broke down crying loudly. Everyone's attention was on her. When Dad asked her what was wrong, Mary dropped a bombshell.
I have something to apologize to Riley for. Apologize? What are you? Riley, I'm so sorry. I'm pregnant with Thomas's child. What?
I couldn't process this unexpected revelation. Yet Mary's words echoed in my mind.
What did she just say? Pregnant with Thomas's child? Mary? But Thomas is my fiancé.
I cautiously looked over at Thomas, seated next to me. His face was pale, and he was sweating, looking down. In that moment, it hit me. What Mary was saying was true. Suddenly, my vision blurred, and I couldn't control my body. Then, everything went black. How much time had passed? Coming to, I found myself lying on a sofa in the venue's waiting room. There was a slight headache. Then, Mom approached, handing me a bottle of water.
Really? Thank goodness. You're awake.
Mom, what happened? That must have been tough. To suddenly face such a situation. Yeah. With Mom's words, the reality that Mary wasn't lying about her pregnancy hit me. It seemed like Mary had managed to take something precious from me again. Oddly, I didn't feel anger, just a deep emptiness. Before I knew it, tears began to flow, and overwhelming frustration consumed me. Mom hugged me tightly, trying to console me. Riley, it's okay. It's going to be okay, all right? Don't cry. Mom, Rest for now. We'll talk about everything properly later. For the next few days, I stayed somewhere else with Mom. The thought of returning to the family home with Mary or the apartment I shared with Thomas was unbearable. A few days later, I started to feel better and my emotions began to stabilize. Upon telling this to Mom, she decided it was time to sit down and talk with Mary and Thomas at our family home. Seeing Thomas after such a long time, he looked worn out and pale. Contrasting his appearance, Mary seemed smug and triumphant. I decided to first ask Thomas about his feelings.
So, what's the plan now?
Well, that is.
It's quite something, getting your fiancé's sister pregnant. I'm too stunned to even blame you.
I'm sorry. But I love Mary. I can't marry you, Riley. I knew this was coming, but hearing Thomas's decision still stung. Sensing my emotions, Mary had a mocking grin on her face. Trying to hold back my irritation, I confronted Mary.
What do you want, Mary?
Well, isn't it obvious?
I want to marry Thomas for our baby's sake. You're serious? You do know he was my fiancé, right?
So?
Even after all this, you still want to marry Thomas? That's...
Perhaps because Thomas chose her, Mary seemed certain she had no competition left. Her apologetic face at the wedding venue was nowhere to be seen, replaced with a hateful smirk.
Talking further is just a waste of time.
Feeling resolved, I took a deep breath to end the conversation. But Dad, who had been listening to our conversation, spoke up.
Riley, you understand, right? Dad? What are you talking about now? You've always been told to give way to your younger sister, haven't you? What's your point? Hand over Thomas to Mary. To begin with, there's a reason he cheated on you.
In that instant, something inside me snapped.
All this time, give it to the younger sister because she's younger? This is so unjust. I won't put up with it any longer. I'll get my revenge.
I planned to demand compensation from Mary and Thomas and get a restraining order against Dad for past abuse. But before I could act, it was Mom who stepped forward. She stood before Mary and smiled gently. Mary, first off, congratulations on your pregnancy.
Thanks, Mom. This will be your first grandchild.
Grandchild? Don't make me laugh. You're no longer my daughter.
What? Mom, what are you saying? How could you stoop so low as to steal your sister's fiancé and get pregnant by him? You're no better than a monster.
Mary, hearing the stern tone from Mom, a side she'd never seen before, shrank back in fear. Dad, concerned about Mary, stepped in to intervene.
Hey, what's gotten into you? This is hard on Mary.
Hard on her? At that moment, Mom stood directly in front of Dad, gripping his shirt tightly.
Enough is enough. What on earth are you talking about? What's your deal? Why are you acting like this? How can you say it's hard on Mary? Don't you see how Riley is the one truly suffering here? Calm down. Mary isn't the only one at fault here. Riley played her part in this too.
Dad kept trying to defend Mary. But Mom had had enough. She released her grip and said,
I don't ever want to see Mary again. And we're getting a divorce. What, divorce? Yes. Why would I stay in a family with someone so heartless? If you understand, then please leave. But, am I joking? Absolutely not. Can't you see how much you've hurt Riley? And if you ever try to harm my precious daughter again, even if you're family, I won't hesitate to take you down. Got it?
Mom's forceful words turned Dad's face pale. And for a good reason. If he were to be kicked out, he'd have nowhere to go. Because the house, passed down from Mom's grandparents, was in her name. Dad had married into the family with wealthy landowners. But after the grandparents passed, he became more dominant, disregarding Mom's opinions. He always said, "I'm the one supporting this family." Probably getting too arrogant after the grandparents' passing. He probably got arrogant after the grandparents passed away. And he completely forgot one crucial detail. The house was inherited from the grandparents and was under Mom's name. Realizing the predicament he was in, Dad knelt before Mom, repeatedly apologizing.
I was wrong. Please forgive me. I won't side with Mary again. Just don't kick me out.
But Mom was resolute. She began packing Dad's belongings. Once packed, she threw his stuff outside.
Here, sign the divorce papers and leave. I don't ever want to see your face again. But move it. Or I'll take this to court. Gulp.
Startled by the word trial, Dad hurriedly began signing the divorce papers. He then loaded his numerous belongings into the car and left the house. Left behind in the room were Mary and my ex-fiancé, Thomas. Thomas looked overwhelmed by Mom and was trembling. How pathetic. Why did I ever consider marrying such a person? On the other hand, Mary seemed to have a smidge of arrogance left. I said to her, very clearly,
You know, I'll be expecting full compensation from you. What? Compensation? We're sisters. Excuse me? Think that matters now? You stole my fiancé. That's a fact. But I can't believe you. I don't even have a job.
Instead of apologizing, Mary was still trying to justify her actions. Seeing such a pitiful sight, I was utterly disgusted. Finally, I let loose, expressing all the resentment I'd been holding in.
Stop making excuses. Whether you work or not, I don't care. Who's to blame for all of this? It's the result of your shameless affair. And after all the trouble you've caused, you still act so self-righteous. Wait, please. I apologize. Just, please, no compensation. Sorry, so please forgive me? You think I'm a fool? Who would forgive with such a shallow apology? I've put up with your crap for years. But enough is enough. Being related to someone like you is just embarrassing. Got it? I won't show any mercy. No matter how much you cry or beg, I'll come after you with everything I've got.
Mary broke down, begging and pleading. But of course, forgiveness wasn't an option. Like Dad, Mom packed up Mary's stuff and threw it outside. When Mary and Thomas were reluctant to leave, Mom and I forcibly evicted them. After that, Mom and Dad divorced. My engagement with Thomas was called off. I hired a lawyer and demanded compensation from Mary and Thomas. For Thomas, I required that he cover all the wedding expenses. Mary went into debt, and Thomas exhausted all his savings to pay the compensation. But word of Thomas's affair spread throughout his company, as colleagues were present at the ceremony. Consequently, he was shunned and, unable to bear the humiliation, he resigned. I wonder what kind of life awaits the unemployed couple, especially with a baby on the way. I don't wish ill on others, but in their case, I hope they face endless misfortunes. As for me, I moved out of the apartment I shared with Thomas and began living with Mom. Spending time with Mom has been enriching. Surprisingly, I feel refreshed despite the recent breakup. All thanks to Mom, who fiercely protected me. Will I ever love someone again? If I do find someone in the future, I hope they are someone who can make Mom proud.